Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the Gamut Network. I am particularly excited about today's interview because it's very different from others that we have done. We have an incredible young man on the show today who is a senior at Georgetown University. He is actually in the business school and has really created something spectacular based on what is happening currently in our world, as well as the needs of his personal family. So with that, I'd love to introduce Adrian to the show. Hi, Adrian.
Hello, hi Mindy. Hello, everyone else watching.
Welcome to the Gamut Network. We're so happy to have you here. And I am personally so excited to hear about your story and what led you to creating this amazing tool. So let's just start from a little bit about who you are and your personal story and understanding a little bit about your family life.
So I was born in Germany, but I came to the US at the start of middle school, and I've been living in Princeton, New Jersey ever since. I've just kind of always been interested in solving problems and also been interested in technology. I studied a lot of comp sci in high school, and the first time I kind of saw a problem where I could use my technical skills was I started a business in high school. My own phone was broken. I noticed lots of other high schoolers were walking around with broken phones, and that was kind of like my first foray into seeing a potential need that needed to be fulfilled. So I actually started a business fixing phones and was working out of like a janitor's closet. Eventually got kicked out by the principal because people started coming into the school who were not high schoolers looking for their phones to be fixed. And so I took a year off for Georgetown to grow this business. I had some employees that I worked with from the high school, and that was a really like transformative experience in showing me I could like work on something that I'm really passionate about and like go to work every day loving it. It didn't really feel like work, although I was working weekends. So that got me interested in not only doing computer science, but also studying business. So I wanted to go to Georgetown where I knew I could study business in undergrad and also keep working on like entrepreneurial classes. So I studied that at Georgetown as well, some an entrepreneurial certificate.
So is the company still in existence?
Interestingly enough, yes. So I sold it. It's changed hands a few times, but it's still there in the same location, owned by a different person. But yeah, it still exists today.
What's the name of the company?
Nowadays, I think it's called like CPR Princeton. Um,
CPR?
CPR Princeton, yeah, it's like a spin on like the cell phone repair kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're still around.
Wow. Okay. So by the age of what, 19, 20, you already sold your first company?
I think I was 19 at the time. Yeah,
That's pretty impressive.
I'll have to. I could be 19, could be 20. I'm not exactly sure anymore, but
You know what? Either one is quite impressive. So wow. So now we are at Georgetown
yeah.
studying business. Even I am a big believer in life skills anyway, which you very smartly took the year off to really cultivate growing a business and really understanding that. So I would imagine being in the business school really has enhanced what is a bit natural to you.
Yeah, I think it gave me a lot of the frameworks and the understanding of finance, accounting, marketing, a lot of the things that I kind of was figuring out on my own, but it gave me more formal training in all those areas and a lot more depth than I had gotten into just by like kind of winging it as a kind of just high school grad. But yeah, it definitely gave me. I decided to major in like the business analytics. It's called like OPM in Georgetown, but it's basically like business analytics, a little bit of operations, but kind of in that same realm of looking how a business functions and how you can continue improving it. But at the same time, I had to do a core of business classes and learned basically everything that's required to run a business.
And you also have the entrepreneurial spirit, obviously, because you saw an opportunity and ran with it, even out of the janitor's closet, which I have to giggle about because I would imagine that the principal was a little relieved when he realized what you were doing in that closet, that it was cell phones rather than something else that would have been a lot, you know, a little stickier. But that is amazing. So are you also focused or interested on being an entrepreneur?
I think one of the interesting classes I took at Georgetown was with Jeff Reed, and we were he was speaking to the class and saying like, you don't have to be start a business to be an entrepreneur. You can think entrepreneurially in your career. And we read this book by Reid Hoffman, who's the founder of LinkedIn, who kind of just talks about how to be an entrepreneur in your life, and just always, I guess, be thinking about how to be innovative in your career path, and always have like various different plans and like kind of experiment and have backups. But I kind of, when I first came to Georgetown, I was almost like disappointed I felt like I'd lost my entrepreneurial bug. I wasn't like starting a business. I kind of got involved with a small thing, but that didn't go anywhere. I wanted to start a business where I was going to be like kind of like quality food. But I didn't end up starting anything for a while and thought that like, oh, maybe I'm not, I didn't start anything in college. So I kind of wondered like, do I still think entrepreneurial? Can I still be an entrepreneur one day after graduating? And was waiting for like a business idea to hit me. But I kind of realized, I guess sometimes these things fall in your lap. When I had an internship, I had to find one like last minute. I couldn't find one, so I was going to take summer classes at Georgetown. But in the end, like I got a great one, like at a dream company. And then I quickly like had to leave. They told me basically come to New York in 4 days. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to find a subletter for my apartment in that time. So I was like, there's a guy moving in next door doing Airbnb. Maybe I can just convert my apartment to Airbnb. It's always something that I wanted to give a shot. So ended up hiring him. It made like $1,000 in profit that month while I was gone doing my internship. And I was like, maybe I should continue this. And so I ended up kind of like consulting him on his business, using the stuff that I'd learned. He didn't have formal business training, like kind of when I started my business. So I brought some of the things I learned from my entrepreneurship classes to him and kind of became like a partner in his business. So kind of realized that I don't necessarily have to like always have some genius idea, but just be open to it when these things fall in your lap. But also I've like had the chance I took another semester off actually in Georgetown. I've kind of drawn out the college experience, and worked for a really cool company that was making cold pressed juice out of like food waste. So they were using like ugly fruits and vegetables like twisted carrots and stuff like that, to make cold pressed juice. It was a really cool experience too. So I took a semester off and worked for them.
Amazing. Now, I love the lead-in, because it is a natural progression when you speak about things falling into your lap or being open to an opportunity, because both things happened with this incredible tool that you built that I would love our viewers to understand. Take us back to kind of that moment, maybe shape a little bit what led you to that.
Sure. Basically, I was in DC. We had just gone into the self-isolation mode and virtual classes. So I was still in my apartment in DC since I was living off campus at the time. And then when I was going to come visit my parents, I was really worried about keep making them sick. So every time I was like, even had like a slightest sniffle or like had a headache, I was like, okay, I got to restart my quarantine, like 14 days again. So I was just kind of paranoid about bringing them anything. And then I realized that they were still going to the grocery store. So like I was planning to visit them and trying to make sure that I wasn't introducing them to anything, but at the same time they were exposing themselves to risk. And so they're obviously—
They have underlying issues?
Yeah. So, I mean, they're overall healthy. So definitely fortunate, but they both have autoimmune diseases. Like it's nothing too severe, but we don't really know and didn't really seem worth kind of like taking risks. And they're also in the more elderly category compared to myself. So just more at risk. So was concerned that they were still going to the grocery store, and was basically the moment I arrived after I'd finished my like 14 days of self-isolation, I came here with my girlfriend. Then we started looking in like grocery delivery, and I spent like the very first night like looking every single website, trying to Google like who delivers here, and like clicking through days and days and days after like windows and everything was full. And I was just kind of like worried that I was not going to be able to figure out a solution, because me going to the store is perhaps better, but still if I catch it and I'm just going to bring it home to them. So
absolutely.
The only real solution seemed like delivery, but everyone was clamoring for delivery at the time, so there was not a lot of options. And I stayed up that night to like midnight, past midnight, checking. I Googled online. People said things appear at midnight, but it didn't happen. So I kind of was not sure as to how to proceed. And I thought maybe that rather than like sitting there refreshing myself, I'd kind of thought back to a time when I tried automating things on my computer before. And I was like, maybe there's a way to automate this. So I started to look into it and just kind of over the next few days worked on it. In the process of working on it, had to stay up many nights because, you know, if you're testing it to notify you when a slot appears, the only way to see if that notification works is when a slot actually appears. And I had no way of like faking that. So I had to just wait until I actually found one manually, which took a lot of late nights. And eventually it worked. And a little bit more, and we got our first order. And I realized maybe some other people could need this too. So I decided to share it on Reddit, and just it kind of took off from there. I didn't expect it to, but just slowly was answering messages, and all of a sudden one day a reporter from CNBC reached out, and then kind of blew up.
So I just want to go back a second for us novices, that I just want to really understand how this happened, and most importantly, share the enormous benefit, especially for the population of people with disabilities who are, you know, obviously high risk for COVID-19. And, you know, when the world starts to slowly open up, this population is still going to be incredibly at risk. So I think this type of information is so important to our population. So what you were doing manually was finding the open times for the deliveries, whether it was Amazon or like Instacart or things like that.
Yeah. I was looking everywhere basically myself. Yeah.
And so how did you then figure out a formula, so to speak? Again, I'm not a ComSci
no worries,
major or anything close to that. You figured out some type of formula that would populate when this pulled it from the internet, populated it, and then it got distributed to the person that you know, requested the information.
Yeah, I can try to just like, that's basically how it works. It's pretty simple actually. So it basically is just clicking refresh. Like imagine if you were sitting there, but just your computer is clicking the refresh button for you every like 30 seconds. And then it waits for the page to load, and it literally like copies and pastes the text as if you like kind of clicked with your cursor and you selected it all and you copied the text, and it would just look for a word like AM or PM, which basically means that there's probably a 10 AM or 11 AM. So it just looks for like a word on that page. And if it does, then it the computer will like make a sound. It'll say like bling, and a little thing will appear in the top right, and it'll also like in a computer voice say success, delivery slot found. So that's basically how it works. You have to run it on your own computer. So you download it, you like go through the instructions to set it up. But once it's running, it just opens up an Amazon page and it clicks refresh every 30 seconds for you. And you can walk away from your computer. It'll be in another room. And when you hear it yell, then you run over and you finish the checkout because there's a lot on your screen. Okay.
So now people watching and listening, how do they utilize this tool? Yes.
So I mean, I think it's probably not worth like saying the URL out loud, but maybe
we'll put it in the description.
Right. Okay. So you go to that page and it has a long list of instructions that you can follow. You got to check that it works. At the moment, it only works for Macs. I can also link you to another tool that works for Windows, but I designed it to be very like user friendly. And for me, I was only able to do that with the computer I own, which happened to be a Mac. So it basically runs through the instructions to make sure it's going to work for you, and you put everything in your cart, tells you how to do all that stuff. Then you click the download button, and then you open the script. So you just like double click on the file you downloaded, and it'll have a bunch of instructions. You just click next, 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 okay, and then it'll start running. And then once it's running, it'll do that thing which I said. It'll make a sound, and it'll say success, delivery slot found, and then you'll have to come to your computer and manually finish, like select which credit card you want to use and click place order.
Wow. And this, I assume, is national. It doesn't matter where you live, you can take advantage of this.
It seems to work in most regions. A few people when I designed this, I only knew one version of the website that exists in New Jersey, but technically a few other regions have different versions of the website. It doesn't work for those scenarios. but some people have contributed to the code. So they were in California and they said, oh, this is what my page looks like. So they kind of shared an addition to the code. So there's different versions you can download for like California, or you can basically look at like, if this is what your screen looks like, then you download this version. If this is what your checkout screen looks like, then you download another version. So I can send you some more like information about that in email that you can put in the description.
That would be wonderful. Thank you. I can't imagine how proud your professors must be.
I got a lot of emails. Yeah,
Yes.
they kind of was in all their inboxes that morning. So yeah, they were all. I shared it with a few of them, but then each time I kind of like checked my inbox again.
Wow. And you know, what I love so much about this, Adrian, is I think that this is going to be a bit of our new normal, is really figuring out ways that we can make change or modifications to, or enhance what exists to make it easier. Obviously, I'm biased to the population of people with disabilities, but I think this whole experience of necessity and how to make necessity easier and safer for our population is exactly what you did in this example. And I think that we're clearly going to need a lot more of this to be safe in our world and protect the population that really needs it most. And so I think we're going to need a lot more of these brilliant ideas. So eat your Wheaties.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something I quickly realized. Originally, I was like, oh, I have it for my family. I feel like my parents need it. But I never expected it to kind of go viral in a sense. By now, I think it's gotten like maybe 200,000 views or so. I'm not quite sure how many downloads exactly, but I quickly realized there's some people who need this more than others, similar, like, and certainly people in the disabilities community, which is why I was really excited to essentially talk to you and make sure that your viewers got to use this tool and were aware of it. Because not everyone's aware of it. So yeah,
Exactly.
I definitely agree that this tool is most important and most vital to the people who are at risk or who can't leave their home for whatever reason. So yeah, definitely agree with you that like I would love for this to definitely reach the communities that need it most. And
how does it make you feel that you created something that is going to be so useful for millions and millions of people, and not only useful, hopefully save lives and keep them healthy? You know, that's pretty big. How do you feel about that?
I mean, people asked me early on, like, would you accept donations? Like, how can I make a contribution to your college fund, wink, wink, or something like that. So they were eager to like say thank you. But I kind of realized like reading the stories was enough of a thank you. It really does feel like, I mean, didn't expect that, but it's great to read the stories. People have written me like quite a long like email or message. There was one mom, one woman who was a single mom and who couldn't go out with her toddler, and sent me thank yous. Another with the elderly parents who are in their 70s. I've gotten several messages actually about that. And they were able to order groceries for their parents. Some people whose parents live across the country, and they ordered groceries for them, who are elderly. Another woman who had multiple sclerosis and took immune suppressants, and for that reason couldn't go out, was previously relying on friends. So I've gotten a number of messages like that, and that's definitely been like really lovely every time to hear.
How wonderful.
Some people have also chosen to, I remember I got an email saying like, hey, I made a contribution to the charity you made, and someone donated $100. And I was just like, wow, that's like, that's a big contribution. So it felt great to have like helped a charity raise more money.
And what charity is that?
So I just, one of the charities I listed was Give Directly, which is a charity that funds families directly. It just basically gives money to families.
Okay.
So just a really cool charity that I'd heard about. But I gave a list, I just kind of listed them to a news article where they can go check out other charities that maybe fit their interests more so. But that was just like, I had a little section for people who wanted to donate, and I just said, you can give any donations here to a charity that is helping people affected by COVID.
I mean, absolutely fantastic. Has this reshaped your thoughts about your future in terms of what you want to go into, or did this Or was this just something that you're just so happy that you got to do?
I think it's inspired me to. I didn't major in computer science, so I wasn't sure if I could do that professionally.
Yeah.
Most jobs I thought would require a computer science major, but quite a few companies reached out asking me to apply to software positions. So it kind of like opened my eyes to being able to use my skills and keep learning more. So those have been great opportunities in terms of the actual work of uh, continuing on to work on this tool. At the moment, been swamped with finals, so kind of like I made this tool, then finals came, and
Oh,
so I
your
had
day
to,
job. I forgot about your day job. That's
yeah.
right.
My
Yeah.
mom was like, this is not allowed to get in the way of your grades. I'm still that's the priority. But I'm excited to keep working on the tool afterwards, just out of personal interest and wanting to make contributions. And what's also been really interesting, this was my first. I'm not sure if you've heard of like the open source code or community
Hmm.
before, but basically what people do is they post things online and other people can contribute to it. So it's not just like my code; it's everyone, the world's code. Anyone can make additions to it. So it's been cool to see people from the UK even making additions saying like, hey, here's how you use it for the UK. So although I'm going to keep working on it after finals, people from other areas that I wouldn't even have thought were using it are also making additions. So that's been really cool too.
Amazing. I can't wait to see where it goes. It
Yeah.
feels like, an amazing journey to watch how big this gets, or, the iterations that it blooms into. So it's really spectacular what you have started. Adrian, before we go, I'd like to ask all of my guests one final question, and that's about the notion of a vision board, and kind of putting your hopes and dreams and wishes out there, whether it's on a physical board or just something that you believe in your heart you're going to make happen. And I can't wait to hear what your answer is to that. What or who would be on your vision
I think for me, it's probably what, and I think at the moment it's two whats,
board?
maybe
Okay.
three. But the first one is certainly related to this tool I've created. So it illuminated to me that there's a big need for the people who are immune compromised, who are elderly, who are generally at risk, and making sure to help those people. So for me, it's I want to make sure that this continues to grow and help more people on more platforms, more websites, even more countries. So for me, my goal is to make this available for at least like the top 3 grocery websites in the US, and also bring it to people who don't have computers and who have it so they can use it on their phone. So that's my like goal for this, to make sure it's kind of available to everyone. And my other goal is not really related to this, but somehow like the I guess I'm interested in working on like a mission driven area at some point in my career.
Mm.
At the moment, it can be like hard to enter, especially right out of college. But one day, I want to make sure that I'm doing something that feels is directly connected to helping people, which is kind of what the script has been. And for me, that issue for some reason that resonates with me very strongly has been just like homelessness. And so I think kind of the combining my like business education with this concern for homelessness, the one like business that I feel like embodies this most is like the Grayston Bakery, which is a really cool program that they bake all the brownies that are in Ben and Jerry's ice cream, for example, but they employ formerly incarcerated or homeless people. They kind of have like a no questions asked hiring policy. And they also do all these things. They have this thing called Grayston Mandala, and it kind of has like childcare or like professional services. All these things are like built around supporting this community, but all funded by like a actually profitable business. I
How
think it's like,
incredible. What an amazing model that is.
yeah, I think it's a there's a lot of ways not for profits are helping all sorts of causes, but I see a lot of potential for like a business to make a long-term like sustainable impact without relying on donations. So for me, like either someday being a part of that venture, or kind of starting my own thing that is also helping the homelessness community, while being funded by a business.
Amazing. Wow, I cannot wait to see where you go. I will be following diligently, because I have a feeling you're going to set this world on fire. So don't forget about us. when you're
Well,
really
I won't.
big.
I won't.
Yeah.
This has been great.
Hopefully, you know, somebody will say, I want the vision board. I want to meet Adrian on their vision board. That'd be pretty amazing. Then you
We'll
really,
see.
yeah.
Maybe one day. Maybe one day.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was incredible to hear your story, and keep doing what you're doing, because you are really going to help millions of people through this tool, and I'm sure future work.
Thank you. You too. This is a great channel you're putting together, and I think it's great that you're trying to help the community with disabilities as well.
Thank you. Thank you. If you would like to be on the Gamut Network, please email us at talent@gamutmanagement.com. Please also remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Gamut Network, as well as our social handles at Gamut Management. Thank you again so much. Bye.
Bye, Mindy. Nice to meet you. Bye-bye.
You too.